The Kid Man! Alright lads, what's the crack? It's also Kev here and
myself, Kevin, also
here.
together.
We're
Live.
together. You know what I mean?
Live.
None of this COVID shite.
No,
Right?
no.
What's the crack, lads? How's it going? We're just going to come along. We haven't done a podcast in a couple of weeks, I think, is it? We did another one during the week,
did we?
Yeah, but it was no, we haven't done it. We've done two in a row now together.
Yeah,
which is great.
we've done a watch along. So this is the first podcast that we've actually done together. So yeah, because of the times we're living in COVID and everything else.
Yeah.
This has taken a while, but here we are.
Yes.
Growing.
All right, so start off at Inter Milan, I suppose.
Yeah. And can I just say, actually, because I always wanted to say this,
Yeah.
I always see these things on YouTube. I say, so for anyone tuning in, right, we're only a very small podcast. We're just growing. We're just starting. Please do support us.
Yeah.
There should be a subscribe, like.
Yeah, there'll be a likey thing.
Share with everyone.
If
tell your friends. Tell the people you don't like. Tell your worst enemies. Tell Vladimir Putin.
Don't be a lazy bastard.
No, tell everyone. It'll be bigger and bigger and bigger, and you'll be sad if you don't join in now, right?
Very sad.
Very sad.
If you like, nobody showing up for your birthday.
And you know what? Because we're together in the same room. I went to your birthday.
So you did, yeah.
I did. Yeah. Because we're together in the same room, we actually have an agenda of sorts, don't we?
Yeah.
So it won't just be us doing 55 hours of talking.
No.
Although that'll probably happen.
So yeah, it'll end up happening.
So we're going to talk about the Champions League first, I believe.
Yeah.
Concentrating Liverpool, concentrating on some of the rivals that we think might be up against us.
Yeah.
For that particular prize.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do a little bit then on the upcoming Premier League weekend.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool and Brighton coming up on Saturday, Arsenal on the Wednesday then as well. So we have a lot going on there. And I think we will talk about Chelsea as well, obviously. Yeah. That's the big news story of the day. We'll talk about poor Roman for a little bit, and maybe touch on a little bit of how that might affect other clubs who find themselves moved by oil barons.
Okay, let's just start. Slightly bit of karma for those lads, considering they were screaming while the rest of the stadium the other night was chanting about Ukraine.
Yeah,
they were sitting there
chanting
Roman's name.
Yeah.
And now look where he's left them.
Yeah,
so yeah, I know.
But we'll try and do all this in a mildly balanced way.
We'll be less spoiled. But just get the banter out of the way.
Liverpool, in fairness.
Just the banter out of the way first. Anyway, we are Liverpool fans. All right.
So will we start, I suppose, Kev?
Yeah.
We'll have a quick chat around the Champions League match, Liverpool versus Inter Milan the other night. What did you make of it all?
I thought they gave us a great game, to be honest. I didn't even think... and another night we won that 4 or 5-1. With the chances that they put us under a good bit of pressure. They were closing down well, I'll give them that. But it's the mindset that some of the players have when they think the tie is over, that they just kind of coax in that. And they're still in that. Even when they see a couple of dangers, they're like, oh, we're all right. We coax along. What I did see was the effect still of the offside trap that we're playing, still working strong, which is surprising, at the most. But it has been highly effective this season. Massively effective this season. So, you're going to start seeing teams that might try it again for the rest of the season, might try it start next season, saying, can we play them at their own game? How do we compete with Liverpool? How do we compete with City? All this kind of way. And they might let themselves open if they don't, if they're not drilled into them. So, but, our team has been drilled into them about how to play that offside, and it's worked a treat so far. Yeah. With 100 and something like 15 offside.
Yeah, you used to say that the other night, that like the disparity between or offsides and the next nearest contender after that, it's like double. So it just shows how effectively Liverpool are playing the offside trap. And again, we spoke about this the other night in the watch along, that certain people are criticising Liverpool, saying they're playing kind of a dangerous game, so to speak. But obviously, considering the fact that they've conceded so few goals, particularly since the turn of the year, it's obviously something that's working in our favour, you know? Yeah.
But you see, what I seen was the last couple of seasons, we've been listening to other supporters saying Liverpool and all this and that. When Liverpool were always around the 12th to 13th for results going in our favour for VAR, right? But I think this year it's another little bit of karma coming back, is that Klopp has played a system that allows him to take advantage of VAR.
Yeah.
He's just like, all right, if they're going to be offside, we're going to see if they're going to be offside, because it seems to be ruling in the favour of offsides. So let's use it to our advantage and do that. No, it's not all Liverpool winning penalties, right? Because we're not winning penalties, we're not winning any of that kind of stuff. It's them playing really good lines and catching opponents offside and letting the VR clarify it. That's pretty much what it's doing.
And so, I think as well, as was evidence in the Inter Milan match the other night, the fact that we have a Virgil van Dijk leading the back line there, even though he's such a big guy, he's so quick. So somebody does somehow get beyond him, he is able to make up that ground, which again, we've seen, what's the name of the Inter Milan striker who seen Van Dijk and he was going for the ball and he literally gave up the race.
Yes, I see.
Literally, you could see he just went like, no.
Ramirez, is it?
Was the guy that scored the goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, he got a
great goal. Great goal.
But I got mixed up because I watched another dude, Hernandez, going nuts or something as well the other night again.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, you know, he had him in his literally even the commentator in the game said, you know, what he said something about having him in his pocket or something like that, pretty much. And then he comes out with a worldie about 10 minutes later after that.
Yeah.
But you know, like Virgil van Dijk is the Rolls Royce defender that anybody wants. It's that simple. We're lucky to have him. He's super happy to be at the club. He has zero interest in anywhere else. Even if they came in from, they probably have about 10 times over already. And you know, he's at that
Where
age.
Where would he go?
No, it's the same with Salah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, there's some circulating news.
Going on.
Some circulating news about Salah signing a new contract. It's meant to be worth a lot of money. I can't believe it because I don't think Liverpool would go to that structure wage wise where they would break that at least. You know, if they brought up to 300,000, they'd be like, okay, so they broke the wage structure. Okay, we're all right with that, but I'm hearing 450,000. That's a lot of money, considering we've never spent that kind of money on a player before.
No, it's yet to be confirmed yet, but because it's coming out,
I think it'll be silent.
Everywhere.
I think it's just going to be made. You know, how would you call it? It's going to be.
There'll be an announcement, but without the details.
I would call it. It's been lambasted.
Yeah.
I can't think of the word right now, but it's like it's been made bigger than what it is.
Yeah.
And he's I'd say maybe around 350, 375, that kind of way, that they might go up to that kind of level of money.
Well, whatever the fee is, whether it's 350 or 450, I think we're both in agreement that no matter what, Mo Salah has to stay at Liverpool.
Yeah.
And as a player and personally, just for himself, I don't think he should go anywhere else. I don't think it's a better option out there. I think Liverpool, have allowed him to become the great player that he is.
One place he can go.
Where's that?
Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, but sure, what's the point? Do you know? That's money only.
Yeah.
There's probably places he can go
Barcelona
for money.
can't afford him. Real Madrid can't afford him. They're losing Mbappe on that side.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side. And they would say, could Salah move over there? Could he move Neymar over that side and bring him in? But I can't see
the French league would be farmers. Like, he'd be thrown away. Look what happened to Messi since he's gone there.
He's so close to breaking so many records at Liverpool, extra than he already has. He could become Liverpool's greatest ever player.
Yeah.
With his goal, you know, it mightn't be his greatest ever goal scorer because, you know, back in the day they would have to play fucking 5 games a week or something like that. So, but they definitely, he definitely has the opportunity to become one of Liverpool's greatest ever players.
Well, look,
next to Gerrard and Kenny. It looks to me Gerrard can't be beaten, and Kenny is there because of the closeness to Liverpool, because of, you know, where Gerrard came from, because of Kenny winning the club and what he's done for the club and all of that. But Salah could be thought of on par.
Yeah,
them,
absolutely,
you know?
absolutely.
So,
well, if he gets the 5-year contract, if he can keep himself fit, which I'm sure he can because he's a fantastic athlete, then God only knows what he can achieve at Liverpool, particularly if Jurgen Klopp stays on as well, you know?
I think the talk is, though, that it's only a 2-year extension at that. To 2025. Really? I don't think it's a 5-year contract. Okay. I think it's like 450 for maybe those first 2 years. Then after that, they'll say, all right, we'll bring you down to around 250.
Then, is it?
Which is probably balancing out what they're going to do. Because if they did a 5-year contract of 450,000 a week, then that'd be costing Liverpool a lot more.
Yeah. Well, that seems a bit.
Yeah. So if he said,
he's saying the 2-year extension,
we pay you 450. We pay you 450. No, that kind of makes sense. If you pay you 450 over the 2 seasons, next 2 seasons afterwards, which is the extension 2020, his contract's up in 2023, right?
So it'll be 2025,
2025,
33 or something.
So he'll be at 33, 34 that way. And maybe they say, look, you're still fit, you're still doing a Milner job in it, which he probably will be because he's really, you know, he doesn't drink, he doesn't eat any bad foods. He's at the peak of his fitness now. He's like what players would be back in their day when they were starting to hit 26, 27, coming into the real.
Well,
peak,
you look at Ronaldo. He's a prime example of somebody that went further than what other players were capable of doing as well. You know, and I think he's that kind of an athlete. He looks after himself that way, and he seems to have that mentality as well. So hopefully, if the extension is signed and it is confirmed, that he can be with us at least 35. You know, why not? Why not?
At least 37. You know, even come into the there's nobody better than the group of players that we have now that have the mentality that they have now to stay within the club and create their own Legend of a Boot Room style scenario. You know, they love the club. The club is, the club loves them back. And even when somebody's not playing too well, the club is not too harsh on them. A perfect example is Jordan Henderson.
Yeah.
With the captain he's become. Lucas Leiva is another one. Even when Alberto Moreno had his worst time, he was like that. Even when what's his name? Came from Newcastle, had the brain tumor.
Oh yes, the Spanish lad.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know why his name has gone over my head again. Yeah. So sleepy bye Simon. Anyway, so. No matter what, these guys have still got such a good rapport with the fans, even after leaving.
Yeah.
I just heard a story the other day about Lucas Leiva, Pepe Reina, and Alberto Moreno. Not Moreno. Luis Alberto. Sorry.
Yeah.
All sitting.
Luis Enrique is.
No, Luis Enrique is the other guy. So it's coming up because Luis Alberto Moreno, Luis Enrique. They're all there together. There you go. That's why I was getting confused.
Spanish or Italian.
Yeah. So they're Luis Alberto, Pepe Reina, and Lucas Leiva have been meeting every week or every 2 weeks to watch Liverpool games.
Really?
At home.
Jesus.
You know, they'll do it as long as Lazio aren't playing at the same time.
Okay.
So they'll sit down, they'll have food, and they'll have a meal in each one of each other's houses, and they'll choose a week to go to each other's houses and watch the Liverpool games. So that'll just tell you the way it's ingrained in the club and all of that. There'll be another talk about Pep Linders being the successor to Jurgen Klopp when he leaves. I don't see why he wouldn't transfer over.
Yeah, hopefully.
And at the same, he mightn't have the bubbliness of Klopp after he leaves. Hopefully, he stays on an extra couple. I'd like to see him sign an extra 3-year extension or something like that, and stay at the Lily. Well, if he stayed until Lily's 2027, he'd have a good 11, 12 years at Liverpool, and he would have. He could have won a lot of titles. I
think he might sign on a bit more, but I think he's probably going to go down the Arsene Wenger route of signing it year by year after that. Then, which is fair enough. I can kind of understand that in a way, But yeah, look, hopefully Mo Salah does stay. Hopefully that contract is signed. Hopefully Jurgen Klopp is there as well. And just getting back to the Champions League the other night.
Jesus. We got through.
We want the lads to be there, battling on all fronts, particularly in the Champions League for us going forward over the next few years. But just in terms of Inter Milan the other night, I'll just say a couple of things about that game, because I did kind of hear Rio Ferdinand. He was kind of criticising us a little bit on TV afterwards, saying, "Oh, Liverpool weren't great" or whatever,
No, you weren't.
And we did talk about it again in the watch along. Like, I will make this point, right? We were 2-0 up from the first leg, okay? If we went into that game, we would have, and we weren't 2-0 up, it was a 0-0, or even if we were 1 down, we would have gone in there with a different mentality altogether. We would have gone in there to win at all costs. I don't think the lineup would have been the same. I'm not sure Jones would have been on the pitch. I think Luis Diaz possibly would have started over Jota. I think Jota was only there because we were 2-0 up as well. But we would have gone in there with a different attitude altogether. I suppose in terms of mentality, being 2-0 up in the game already, I think it kind of makes the team approach it with a different mindset. I think that's kind of what happened to us. I think we kind of got caught between two minds. But in saying all of that, it was a weird game. It was a weird game in the sense that we hit the post 3 times.
4.
We hit, was it 4?
Yeah,
we hit the left, the right,
and
Matip hit the top.
Clipped it as well. I think
really?
Going off the top as it
was. That Van Dijk, was it?
That was an early shot.
Really?
Yeah, early
so was
shot.
It 4 times?
It wasn't even the header from the Van Dijk went past. It was. Yeah.
And then Luis Diaz missed a sitter.
Yeah.
So I think on another night we could have got 3 or 4 goals there, no problem, So I know there is going to be, or there has been certain people kind of giving out about us, so to speak, but I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. I think
if we're losing, if we're on a dip and we're still winning games and going through the things that
winning ties even,
it makes it like leave us have those couple of weeks. We just finished a cup final, which takes a lot out of you on a big day.
And what a cup final it was!
It was a great cup final. We just got a cup final out of that, and then the following week we still went on, beat. Well, we have to win the last few games. We beat West Ham, which is a tough enough team to win, and we have to win the last couple of games after that, and besides the Champions League game now, right? I'm not bothered about what people are saying or what they're worried about with the team like that. They know had the Champions League game is over with. You probably might see a different team against Brighton. Something. It's kind of at that time where it's at the perfect time now for rotation. I know it's Brighton, and I know we drew a 2-0 advantage against Brighton at home early in the season, but that was at the start of a really bad dip. And I think we're we're too on the ball right now to drop any more points in that kind of manner. And I can see if you could play a Minamino and you could play an Origi and all that against that, but I still think that Salah might need a rest, but he still needs a fresh game in him to get a couple of goals back.
Yeah. I think Salah scoring a goal, even if it goes in off the back of his head or something, he just needs that now a little bit more, like, you know.
He's been off for the last couple of days, and people have been questioning it or whatever like that, but he hasn't. He's been outmanned and outmarked. They're doing it again, like they did to him a couple of seasons ago, where they're just throwing 2 or 3 lads on him at all times. And he has to do the link-up play. But it just depends on the team we come up against and the day. Are they up for the fight? If they're up for the fight, there'll be 2 or 3 surrounding them all the time. If they're not, 1 will go, 2 might go, and 1 might stay, and he'll take them on. You know, so it just depends on the day and who we play. But I can't see an issue with I can't see us having an issue with not beating Brighton. Even if it's away from home. The big game is what you want to do is rest a couple of lads for the Arsenal game midweek. They're on a bit of a run. I still think we will beat Arsenal, but we're on a bit of a run, and that's one of our big games left for the season. Because we still have Arsenal, City, Spurs, United, Everton as to play. You know, so out of that we've got a bit of a tough run. But I mean, City are over some of their tough run there now at the moment.
I think again, and we would have spoke about this on previous pods, they had that run of Spurs, Everton and United. Obviously they destroyed United. Now we did suspect, or we did hope, that somewhere along that run City would drop points. Now they did lose the Spurs. They were very lucky to get away with the win at Everton. And obviously they destroyed United. So City did kind of leave us back in by losing that game against Spurs, but let's face it, there's a lot more damage could have been done to them, which again gives me a little bit more hope as a Liverpool fan, you know.
No, at the end of the day, it's still in our hands now, really. Where we've the goal difference, even if it comes down to level, we got the more scored and stuff, you know, and it's conceded. So it all comes down to really us beating City. And April 10th now, it's after moving to. It was April 9th.
Is it April 10th, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. It was on the 9th, and now it's on the Sunday, I think, for that Super Sunday, so that's after moving.
Right.
But, you know, that's a must-win game.
100%.
I don't think City have been as strong as they have been a few weeks ago.
No.
I think they're there for the taking. I think... I watched the United game the other day, and everybody said, right, they were beaten 4-1, and they did come out a shy team in the second half. But in that first half, United were the better side. I watched the game, and I thought they were the better side, even though they weren't playing the greatest. It should just tell you that City are they're at a weak point at the moment, and I think any team of any caliber that's above a level of United can take them. To be honest with you, any one of them there, and they have their bogey team coming up as well in Crystal Palace and the likes of that, you know. So that's why I like to hear when it's coming up against us. You know? So
Palace are bogey team for a lot of teams.
Yeah, they're a bogey. They can be, but like they especially are for City, like they've beaten them so many times now. And you know, we just gotta hope that another slip up happens along the way. And we have to hope that it's
we can capitalise on that.
That we can capitalise, and we have to keep capitalising it. And what I can see us doing now is grinding out results.
Have to.
I see City getting a small bit lucky in the decisions that they're getting, especially the Everton game and whatnot. But they were poor against
same against Arsenal.
Sporting,
like the decisions that they got given in that game as well. They got away. Like, I'm not one of these that like calls foul or whatever, but like they've been getting away with a lot this season. I think, you know. But that might be a story for another day. So basically, look, I suppose with the 2 games that are coming up, Brighton are not having the best run lately, but I suppose in terms of where they are on the table, they're relatively safe. They'll still do enough to stay up this season. I think they're around 13th in the table at the moment. So it's not like they're in desperate times. I don't think they will believe that they're going to get the win against us. They have nothing to lose, I suppose. That's what we have to be careful of. But I predict us to get a win. It might be a difficult game, but I do think with the extra resources we have now on the bench, whether it's Diaz is there or Jota, etc., we should have enough to get the 3 points on Saturday morning.
But it's obvious Diaz is going to start in this game because
he
didn't start the other night. He came on a bit late the other night, and it might be that front 3 of Salah, Mane, and Diaz.
I think that's our strongest option at the moment.
Or you could rest Salah and you could stick Mane out the right. You could Jota in the middle. Or if Bobby's back, Bobby might get a run out at the end of the game, but he didn't get a run out the other night. Look, it's 3 points are a must. Are they going to have the mindset of we're already safe.
Yeah.
There's no issues there. Once we got safe, we kind of took the foot off the gas. That's what they were like. They were like, get safe first, and then everything else is kosher after that. But would it be the point is, we got something against Liverpool, if we go at them, and if they go at them, is that going to punish them something harsh? So that's the only two outcomes I can see from this weekend, really, just on their current form, is that if they come at us, they'll be counter-attacked very, very easily. And they're not because they've learned in the last couple of seasons to defend on the front foot and then move forward with their own counter attacks and then hold possession and then move again. But they haven't been they haven't been great since they kind of got to that safe point. Got to that safe point,
which is understandable in some ways, you know.
Yeah, it's like their break period, but they had a lot of big games and stuff like that coming up as well at the same time. I think at one point they were leading against City. I won't find in the game. I know it was, but it happened earlier. There's a lot of I don't know what's on this, but it's always it's from our own memory. Like we don't have a team behind us, you know. We're doing this on our own.
Will you bring in the tea there, please? No, that's fine. Like I do think we'll get the win against Brighton. No, I think Arsenal then the following Wednesday. That's obviously going to be a much tougher test. Arsenal have a lot to play for. Things are going well for them at the moment. They're looking favourites for the 4th spot. However, I do think we are a better team than them. I think we've proved it before. And I think with the right, I suppose, I think you have to be careful. You can't underestimate anyone, particularly Brighton, because they can pull one out of the bag on the day. But I think there should be, particularly if we get a few goals early on, there should be a little bit of time to rest certain players and keep them fresh for the Wednesday night as well. Because I do think Arsenal, that's going to be a big test on Wednesday.
It is. It's going to be a tougher test. No, in saying that, we've beaten Arsenal at their ground this season, you know, and the other one, right, so they were under resurgence as well when they came across us in the cup. They played their strongest 11 up against us, and we played a weak enough team. Well, besides Jota being in there, and beat them. I don't see why we can't do it this time. I'd say it's one of these games where we've other games coming up after that before we hit City, and they're games that are also winnable that you could probably rest a couple of players again. Because we have a potential then either side of that with Champions League coming up. So I would say put out a strongish enough team on Saturday, beat Brighton. Whoever's playing good and feeling good, put them out again on Wednesday with your strongest players that you possibly can that you possibly get. I want to see Thiago, because Thiago was a bit iffy the other night when he was playing, but he was only coming back from a
But we got 60 minutes out of him, you know.
We did,
that's great.
And fucking Sanchez nearly tore the leg off him, but it was like. But yeah, I would like to be able to see him playing maybe again on Saturday, getting his fitness off, and I think he'll want to play again on Wednesday. So that's what you're looking at there with a bit of consistency. I'd like to see Keita maybe get a run out on Saturday. And Henderson, I don't think he'll drop Fabinho.
No.
Henderson, after being dropped the other night, that looks like he could be playing on the weekend and Wednesday. Because what Klopp likes to do with the league ones, especially if it's league and that, he likes the players that you see him dropping for the Champions League games that are already comfortable, are the players you definitely see him for the next 2 league games. You know, so that's more likely going to be Henderson starting in that midfield. You might see a start for Ox on the weekend. You know,
I think that would be a good call, actually.
That he can dance in between the players. You know, it's one of these games that you could see him starting. Elliot might get a shout.
Yes.
So there's potential there for most of these players now after, because even though we were the dominant side the other night, but we allowed Milan to have too much possession at home, and that showed it just that we were comfortable in our position, but we locked up shop then again once they scored the goal, and it was just like, all right, just see it out.
I think as well, like that goal was a fantastic goal, but you'd very rarely see that happening. Like, they got that goal, and fair play to them, they got it, but that was about it. I didn't see much else out of them in terms of being a huge threat if we were on form. Like,
they weren't. No, they didn't threaten too often at all. I mean, they barely had called a chance at goal. I can't remember Ali making too many saves really, except for ones that were just rolling into his feet at the ground, no divings. There was one I think he pushed around the side to go for a corner.
Yes, that was the free ball, wasn't it?
Or something like that. I know which one it was, but I just remember him diving out to the right and saving it out. And I can't like that. It was just a coast game. It was an energy saving game, I think, more than anything. But we still created a lot of chances and could have had 4 or 5 goals. but we ended up losing it 1-0, and it wasn't that important of a loss.
I suppose the important thing is that we're through the other side. Nobody was injured or anything like that, and we're into the quarterfinals of the Champions League.
Yeah.
Do you just want to have a quick kind of discussion around, like, maybe who would be our main rivals in the Champions League after the matches were played there? We spoke tonight about Brighton, who had a fantastic win. City, obviously, as well. There's nothing would make Pep Guardiola happier than winning the Champions League.
That's his goal.
Absolutely.
You know, I know he's comfortable in the league, but he really wants that. He wants both, I know, but he really wants that Champions League with City, and so do City. So if it comes down to it and they get a tougher tie in the next game, they'll start playing weaker sides in the league. They will, because they've got a good squad, but they haven't got enough. They have no strikers. Gabriel Jesus is not going to play every game because he just doesn't trust them to play up front all the time, you know. And he's been playing Phil Foden up front, you know, in games, and he's been playing, you know. So that'll get you so far with a great squad, but it's not going to win you every single game for 13, 14 games in a row. I can't see that. I can't see it. It's just it's going to catch up at certain points. I think he knows that as well, but he's just hoping that everybody else slips up around him. I think at the same time. So
if you had to pick, right, and I'm going to throw another one as well, just based on the match last night, because it was PSG and Madrid, and Madrid came through that 1-3-1, and I know Madrid aren't at their best, so to speak, and La Liga isn't, you know, at its best either. But there's just something about Madrid in Europe sometimes. Would you consider them to be a threat? Would you put them up there with City?
They can be a threat, but I still want them in the Champions League. We won one for. We were playing it. We caught him with a worst goalkeeper.
Yes.
A few seasons ago, it's unfortunate for Callis, but he made the fuck up. It was down to him. Really. We were dominant in that game. We were the better team in that game.
I think we were, but between Salah getting injured, and then Karius making the screw up, it was
Salah being assassinated.
Yes.
And no doubt about that. And the goalkeeper fucking up. Like we'd gotten into the game, and then we were on top of them. We were chance to score.
I think early on we were the better team.
And it was like even though they got the 1-0 up, and we came back with Sadio, we were pushing under pressure to score more, you know. And it was just freak incidents that, you know, kind of made us drop our head a small. And then we went off the while, and you know there was no drive out of us then after that, and but we were still pushing in there to the end until that third goal went in. And when it did, it absolutely killed it. Like that's the point where I just kind of walked. I just said, see you later.
I think the thing to point out about that as well is just the evolution of Klopp's team. You know, obviously we were unlucky that night, but it was great to see the way that we learned from it. And came back then strong the next year again, like, you know. I think that's the one thing about Klopp's team. They do develop, even through failure, they do develop a stronger mentality after that, you know. So between City, Bayern, and Madrid, who do you think are going to be because I really fancy us in the Champions League.
I do,
I really do. I think we're really strong, and I think we have a really good shout. But who do you think are going to be the team that because there's going to be one of them that we're going to be up against in the final, you know?
To be honest, right, City will be a big threat, right? I think it's because they know us, we know each other well, all of that, but we've got a European pedigree behind us. That's the difference. The other thing is, would it work out the same? Because we beat that Bayern Munich team 3-1 a couple of seasons ago. Went 0-0 at Anfield, 3-1 at their ground, and that was pretty much the same team, you know. So they might have been moving in Germany, might be doing well. They might be doing well against the teams that they're playing against in Europe, but they still haven't come up against the caliber of Liverpool. So, and Real Madrid are you just don't know with them. What kind of players turn up? They've got a certain way of playing that's really in line with their passing. That can.
Modric played well yet night, didn't he?
Yeah, that can break teams like us that play a high line as well. So you have to watch that kind of stuff. Maybe Klopp would change it differently. I think we can beat them all. But the most ones we will not worry about. The most ones we suss of are the ones that know you the best, which is City. But we've already done it to them with an even better team than they have now. I think in Europe, in both ties. I was at a 3-0 and a 3-1. Or 2-1. 3-0 and a 2-1. That was 5-1 aggregate win against a better side that they had. With better strikers and everything, like, you know, they still had David Silva inside the team, like, you know. So I don't see how Europe is a different occasion at Anfield. It's completely different. We're a different animal when we play that tournament, you know, and
the atmosphere at Anfield and everything else.
Just like get that kind of game out of the way, get the away game out of the way first, and hopefully bring it back to Anfield after that. and then you're laughing that way. I suppose with the away goals, God no, and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't really make a difference. You know, Jesus, you could lose. You could be losing at away and at home, and like take Real Madrid for that. You know, so. You know, there was at a point last night where it was 2-2 and Paris Saint-Germain, you know, if it was the old rules, would have still gone through, but instead it would have gone. Yeah. So Real Madrid just finished off the game, and Paris Saint-Germain knew they needed to score 2 or at least get a penalty or something, like, you know. So, you know, it makes teams make more of an effort, I suppose, as well, in the long run. But, no, I don't think any of them really, I'm not worried about anyone as equally as others, but for Champions League pedigree, you'd be more worried about Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. Because they still have players in that team that's won the tournament and they know how to play it. And Man City with Man City could act like a wounded animal in any way in a game against us because they lost to Chelsea season. How many more English teams are they going to go to in the Champions League? I don't know. Look, I'm not worried about any of them. I still think we're the best team out of a lot of them, and we can beat them, any of them, on our best day, as long as our best team turn up on our best day.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll ask you a quick question, right? Just I seen it online today, and you probably were asked this one before. It was on one of the Liverpool fan forums. If you had to choose, right? No, obviously going for the quadruple, right? That's what we're aiming for. We're putting that money on that 50-1. If you had to choose one, though, right? Liverpool to win the league, and Man City to win the Champions League, or the other way around. What would you be going for?
Liverpool to win the league.
Yeah, 100%.
All day fucking long.
We want that 20, don't we?
Why would I be worried about City one time winning?
Yeah.
We've 6 times and then win our 20th title.
Would you take it if Liverpool lost in the final to City?
No, I want to win that. No, there's a third scenario there.
I know.
If Liverpool in the final with City, I want to win both of them.
Yeah.
That's that simple. There's no question about it. There is no if, buts, or maybe when it comes to if we lose to the final.
I said I'd only ask you just to look in your face.
That's not happening. Liverpool are just they're too. Plus of all, we'll have triple the fans that they'll have at the stadium.
That's true.
But
So come here. So we kind of covered Liverpool there a bit, a bit of the Champions League and all that. Will we chat a wee bit about Chelsea, just about what's going on there at the moment, the massive news that happened today? So obviously, Rome. I suppose we'll say Chelsea, but it's been Roman Abramovich that has been sanctioned because of the situation between Russia and Ukraine at the moment. Now, obviously, all his possessions, his homes and everything, we won't feel too sorry for him because he's loaded and he won't be stuck for a few bob on Monday morning. But obviously, Chelsea is one of his assets. The British government have froze that. They've put in various rules and stipulations around the club. What do you make of all that? Like, we've never seen the likes of this before.
I say it's a simple matter of stripping Abramovich if he is to go. I don't think Chelsea themselves as a football club should be punished for anything that their owners have done. It's got nothing to do with the club.
Not with the fans.
Although it's got nothing to do with the club. The fans deserve it. Sorry, lads.
And look, to be fair, there's good Chelsea fans too.
There's a handful of them. A handful, I mean that. Right? But there's I kind of like your man Rory online. He's
yes, I do like Rory.
He's actually alright, you know. There's a few of them there. But the rest are just fucking pompous assholes, to be honest with you. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, if you don't think it's you, then it's probably not you. But if you think it's you, you're going to get upset and comment in the chat. And so there's underneath here somewhere there.
Abramovich is one of our subscribers.
Yeah. Anyway, he's going to send fucking get radiation pills in the post.
I don't mind once he Putin in a comment first.
Well, like, right, so with the Chelsea scenario, I don't think the club should be held accountable for what Abramovich has done. In the same way, I don't think Liverpool or the club or the fans or any of them kind of thing, or United or them should be held accountable for what happened with the Super League. In that kind of way. It's an ownership choice. It's something that shouldn't be held in regard by any other fan base towards that fan base. And but like the only camera bit I can say about that is that the Chelsea fans the other night, as I said, sang Roman Abramovich over the people in Ukraine. That was scummy. He kind of deserved it a little bit for that.
Yeah, those fans.
But no, getting past that, I don't think they should be. He said he's after handing over the control of the club to the Chelsea Trust, but he wants his money that he put in back. If his assets are after being taken.
Apparently, no, right? He said he does not want any money out of it. That the money is to be given to the victims of the war that is going on at the minute. But the kind of grey area of that statement is the British government or those in authority are saying, okay, we accept what you're saying, but what does that mean? Does that mean the money goes to the Russian victims, soldiers, etc., or does it go to the Ukrainian victims of the war? So I think from what I've heard on the radio and on media today is that the club cannot be sold, right? Yeah. So I think I have here. So look, sell the club, so they can sell the club,
right?
Unless Rome, they cannot sell the club unless Abramovich allows the UK government. They cannot sell the club unless Abramovich allows the UK government to take control of the process, and he receives no proceeds from the sale. So he had the club up, or there was talk of having the club up for 3 billion. 3 or 4
he wanted 1.5 billion back or something.
No, because he said he doesn't want anything out of it. He's going to give to less charity or whatever. The British government are saying he cannot sell it until there's a vehicle put in place. Maybe that money rests in that vehicle until it can be dispersed then to, I presume, the British government will give to the Ukrainian victims of what's going on at the moment, and that's it.
I don't understand how Chelsea will be worth that amount of money.
Well, after what has happened today, they won't be, because there's going to be bidders now who will go, oh, that club now is
1.5 billion, I would say. I think City are worth more than Chelsea now. I think Liverpool and United are definitely worth more than those. So they'll be the two. They're on par now at 2 billion, you know.
Yeah.
But
Chelsea aren't worth more than Liverpool or United.
They're not. Definitely not for the size of the stadium, not for the fan base, not for the sales and jerseys, not for anything, not for any sponsorship deals, and rights are all gone now because they
lost the sponsorship.
They lost 40
million a year has gone from
they're losing sponsorship letter and said it's not worth that, and then pulling out with those sponsorship deals also devalue the club drastically. Yeah. It could be sold for $1 billion, $2 billion.
But you see, this is the thing, Kevin, right? So they would have had a couple of suitors, a couple of really rich people who were very interested in taking the club off Roman Abramovich. Now they were supposed to be seriously interested. They had until next Tuesday, I think, to put bids in. So there was some people that were serious about it. But because this has happened now, if these people had any idea of offering 3 billion renting in that region, they're going to say no. This club is in distress now. We will offer $500 million, $1 billion. The money is going to come way down.
Didn't he buy that club for £1?
He bought it for 100 million off of Ken Bates. Ken Bates bought it for £1 and sold it for 100 million. So the money he was hoping to get, I don't think that's gonna. It's not gonna happen now. Whoever's gonna buy the club is gonna, as I said, play hairball now and try and drive the price right back down.
But if he's after signing away his rights to the club and all of that,
he's not signed anything yet.
No. But if he said that he wants the money to go where it is, he can say let's go to the Russian.
But you see, they don't know what he meant by that. This is the thing. I think this is why the British government have stepped in. They've kind of any homes, anything you had in the country, including Chelsea, obviously, have been taken over now, I suppose. And that's it. I suppose, leaving all that aside, where does it bloody leave Chelsea? Like, will they ever be the same again? Because I don't see, and I said this previously, I don't see anybody coming in with the deep pockets that Abramovich has had and willing to spend the money that he spent. Like, he's probably never made any money out of Chelsea, but he's put so much into it. Yeah. Do you know, so much into it. He's the kind of owner
that you'd want at the club.
In an ideal world, sort of, without all the... Without all the, like, other links of how he would have made the money in the first place, who he's friendly with, what it takes for him to be who he is, etc., etc. As just, he's probably a nice guy. I don't know. Seems like an alright fella. You know, you never hear much from him.
Sits all the time with Putin. I don't know. The thing with Vladimir Putin, right? I know we're getting into that.
Yeah.
It's just that he's old school threat for most people.
Doesn't like the Americans.
He doesn't like modern day things. He doesn't.
Well, he thinks Russia should be. Or if we believe what we're told, he thinks Russia or the USSR should be a thing again. He still pines for the days when Russia was, you know, as big as America basically, and a massive power in the world. And he believes that, from what we're told, that Ukraine again should be part of the Russian Federation.
If that's the case, then that means if he take over the Ukraine, or he did nothing about it, that means he'll go back after all the other ones. you know, he'll step in, he'll train.
Who knows? Yeah? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Like,
who knows?
That's just going to lead to shite.
But will that interfere in the Champions League? That's all I want to know.
Well, the Champions League's been moved now to France.
Yeah, it has. And this is the other thing, right? That we'll probably just touch on as well. So Abramovich, I suppose we should probably just talk about that a little bit. Like, he came into the game in 2003, right? And I suppose from when football existed when we were kids in the 1980s, you know, there was a certain amount of money in football, but it was like your local guy that done well, that owned a factory, he was the chairman or whatever, you know, and they were like rich for whatever, but like the money now,
they win trophies, they win the money, they spend it, and
it's
then
huge since the Premiership's come along, and then like United got very commercially successful and they became a massive club that way. Liverpool probably lagged a bit behind around the 90s, I suppose, but from 2003 on, when he came in, he literally changed the face of football. In terms of finance, the way money was spent, he made things go from here to there, you know. Chelsea have done fantastically well, been probably the most successful club within the 20 years he's been there, you know. But I suppose the question has to be asked, did he help improve English football, or did he make things worse in terms of inflating the market, inflating the price of players?
You know what, I think he was one of the key people to bring the league at a standard up, right? Which is all great and it's all well and good and all of that, but the problem here you have is, why haven't the Premier League, FA or any of that stepped in and created wage caps? You know, created sales caps, created agents caps, because that's where all of this money is going. If you cap agents within the country, or being able to buy or sell the player within the country to a club, or if that club, so you can't say that, let's say they sell them in Italy and they sign the documents in Italy, or whatever, that loopholes, get rid of all of those and say, right, the player, that each agent can only get 9 to 11% or whatever the hell it is, you know. If it's a massive deal, probably 6% or something like that. So, like, why didn't they start putting caps on all of these? He can only receive that. He can only receive that. He can, and you probably have more of a playing field and a better standard, and let only what they bring in now, which is what financial fair play was all about. Sustain the club, sustain what the wage structure is, sustain whatever that is. But why didn't they just, like I said, why didn't they just put the caps on the agency fees? Why didn't they put the caps on the wages? Why didn't they put anybody who's been able to manipulate the system to get as much money out of a scenario as possible, right? Why don't they create like some sort of pension funds that are over maybe a 10-year period for when players leave? I don't know if they have that in there, but like, where they say, all right, we're going to give you that certain amount, but we're going to put a percentage on top of your wages into a thing fund, that if you stay at the club for, say, a certain amount of time, that you receive this over a 10-year period.
I suppose the thing with pensions is players get so much money they probably don't need it.
They don't need it.
Used to, like, you know.
But if you had the wage caps on in the first place and you kept the standard of the wages down, you know, but then the TV rights money and this is where it's all changed.
But the TV money I think it's kind of like closing the gate after horse has kind of bolted thing at this stage. There's so much money in football.
That was the killer. The TV rights, it could have still happened and all that, but once the TV rights money came in, that was the nail in the coffin for any kind of standard.
So do you think in Abramovich coming into English football, do you think it's been beneficial, or do you think it's taken?
It's been, you know, the majority has been beneficial, but only for competition at the top. It's not. No, the standards have come up recently for all the other clubs that are there. But for the longest time, the rest of the teams were just whipping boys.
I agree.
And it was unfair. The money wasn't going down all the way through to filter the grassroots level, and then they changed the structure of it. This is why I like the idea of the Super League at the time as well. Don't get me wrong, I don't like this whole lock away.
Without football pyramid thing,
any team that can qualify for it and only keep it like an Americanized style.
NFL style.
Yeah, that's shit. But the fact that I think the Champions League only gave like 100 and something million to English football leagues, whereas the Super League was going to give 463 million or something to grassroots football. Any team that was below the championship, what you call it, level, and then there was a special pocket again for the Division 1 teams of each country. You know, so I liked all of that. I liked everything else about that Super League, except for keeping only the elite teams.
Yeah, and that's
what's fucked it. And I think that's why they're doing these little restructures on the Champions League, because they're allowing more teams to come in. I know there's going to be more games and it's going to be changed or something. And I don't know if you get behind that. It's a lot more games that you want to be playing in a season, really, like with a team, you know.
It's less games you want to be playing, not more games.
It's less games where, you know, the whole league system thing probably would have made it easier to kind of do it like a cup game kind of going forward, but I don't know. Round robin of 3. It's 4 teams. I think it's at a good structure where it is now.
I think it's fine,
Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine where it is now, but I don't know how they're going to work that out.
Well, I suppose these people will always look for other ways to create more revenue for them, or for
that's
the bigger clubs,
really,
or for the
revenue.
bodies that are in. It's always about the revenue, and that's the thing. And so I just say it there again. So you think that Abramovich coming into English football has in many ways improved the standard, or he's had a positive impact? Let's forget about the ties now, the Russian stuff and all of that. Or his ties to Putin, I should say. So that's fine, but again, we do have to be conscious of the fact that he has these links and it's dodgy, or so they say he made the money in a very dodgy way, etc. So do you think that because of what's after happening at Chelsea now, that English football, I'm not saying it's going to grow a conscience overnight or anything like that, but do you think they'll start looking at other big players in the league, the people that own Man City, the people that have recently taken over Newcastle, because effectively what these people do, or these small nation states, etc., it's as bad as anything out there.
Well,
so why should they be tolerated?
I think they've been
if got rid of Abramovich.
I think they've been doing that over the last few years. No, don't get me wrong. Get back to the Abramovich thing. Just one quick point on that. I think he's had a benefit of coming in and turning the top 4 into a top 6.
Yeah.
Because you know it was United, Arsenal, Liverpool, and sometimes I think Chelsea was in like a top 3, then became a top 4 and a top 6, then a top of that. But I think that's made more benefit. And then you know with this situation with City and all that, because of the dealings, and I think the UEFA knew they kind of screwed up the last year, because City were pretty much laundering money, the owners.
Whitewashing.
Whitewashing the money straight around in circles and putting it back into the club from their own companies. But what they've done now is that they haven't allowed the money that's coming in from any other sponsorship or any of it cannot be owned by the same.
So these companies that they set up to sponsor their own team.
So they have to go back and make sure that all the companies are not a subsidiary of any of the smaller companies of these guys, just to make sure. And that's a must know. And I think that's what's kind of hindered us. Because I mean, if that was the case in the last season or so, you know, City might have been able to spend more than they might have been spend a lot more than what they could in the last one. They had one buy, and it was either they went for Harry Kane, that fell through, and they went for Jack Grealish straight away. And so we have the 100 million down, we might just throw it over on Jack Grealish and get it, because that's what we're gonna. That's what's going to cost us.
Money.
It was, but like But yeah, I think it's already in effect, but I don't think it matters to a club like us, because we're self-sustaining.
Yes.
You know, the owners put their hands in their pockets when it comes to building stadiums and doing all of this and they're doing it every few years. The Anfield Road knows about to get built up. Another 7,000 seats being put in there.
Well, again, we've said this before. Like, we would be in favour of FSG. In terms of the current model of ownership that's out there at the moment. We think that like what they do is really classy, that they're dignified guys, and they kind of stand in the background, yes, to make mistakes, but have apologized for the mistakes that they've made in the past. And I do think they're classy guys, full of dignity, and they go about their business in the right way.
Like, I think absolutely they're businessmen, and they want to make the best return they want to get the best return out of whatever venture they're involved in, but they also love their franchises that they own. You have to give them that. But I think they put the right people in place to run the company.
Which your Mike Gordons or whoever.
And you Hughes now or something like that. So they're so these guys came in and they're good guys for the club that come in, and they decide at the end of the day they let them know, and it like they've come up and said it themselves at the end of the day, if Jurgen wants to spend the money, he'll get the money. But not once has Jurgen turned around and just said, oh no, nobody said no to me about buying anything. He just said, I want the right player at the right market. And if that player is not available, I'll wait.
But I heard him talking today in a press conference that the one thing, not the one thing, but definitely one of the things that he agrees on with FSG is that they're also, they want to run the club in terms of development all the time. You know, long-term vision, youth players, buying players cheap, creating them into superstars. And I think that is part of the process with Jurgen as well. That's what he's into. For him, that is the challenge, and that's why he is so good. I think in many respects, that's why I would consider him to be a notch above Pep as well, because he's not just a guy that goes out and buys big players all the time and does it that way. That's not to say that Guardiola isn't a good manager. I think he is.
Guardiola is a fantastic manager. He's one of the best in the world out there, but he's not done it at the level of
not in the same way.
He's walked straight into the big jobs straight away with ready-made teams, and has
a lot of money.
He's had good players to play the hard formations that he creates, and he's never had an issue with he's never had an issue with wanting to or needing to really go into the market to replenish an entire squad and do whatever, you know. So we all know this. It's the same as Ancelotti for me. Very similar. Ancelotti was in his old school was like that. Mourinho, in a way, he did it with Porto
early on.
You know, so that's why I have great respect for Mourinho, because he did it with Porto early on. He did it with Chelsea when they didn't spend too much, but he did it. You know, he had an effect on Chelsea that was ridiculous. Besides Abramovich's money,
he was a different man.
Yeah, he's a different man. And then he just lost it after about 3 or 4 years. I think it was gone for him. I think anywhere else he went, I know he won it with Inter. He came back, but he was playing the side of football that
very negative or something.
Everybody was still playing the 4-4-2s or the 4-3-3s, and basically there was no false nines. There was no, you know, there used to be sweepers still playing. You know, all of these kinds. So he was playing football against teams like that, and then once your Klopps came around and whatnot, that could play in between spaces and press you like no one else. I think these managers just died off.
It's almost like he's been left behind, isn't it?
It is, they're like that. It's still a great manager. He can still do it on a level of, as long as he's got really good players to do his type of football, and it has to be defensive, and he'll win games 1-0 all the time. You know, but other than that, no, he's not. It's not exciting football. Watching his football play, and that's why I do think he is. Yeah, he's been left behind.
So, in saying all that, right, Roman Abramovich, he is now probably officially gone from English football. We'll probably never see the likes of him again. We think, or we would like to think, that English football or the Premiership might grow a little bit more of a conscience and start looking at who they're leaving into the league. Because I suppose, yes, there's short-term gain, but long-term, it's damaging. It's damaging Chelsea. It's damaging the Premiership. And I know it's all about money, but it can't all be about money, because now the fans are being affected by it.
I think they tried to do that with the Newcastle bid the first time around.
Yeah, there's something about that I don't like. You know, there's something about that. I think that's probably worse in many ways.
Yeah.
And I do think that's going to be something that's going to come back and bite.
I think
the league as well at some stage.
I think that, you know, just because you want Amanda Stavely's in there is what kind of got them over the line.
Possibly, yeah.
You know, because the FA trusted in her, and
but you see, she came out and made a statement when Abramovich was on the perch, saying it's unfair that just because he's associated with somebody, he has to lose this asset, which is Chelsea, because she knows if it happens to him, it could happen to her.
Yeah, it's another way of playing it as well. Yeah, you could look at both sides as well to say, Abramovich had to come over because he's country's leader is Putin, and you have to make facial or social appearances or whatever with him. You could say that, but you know, Abramovich could be a good guy and just turn around and say, look, without trying to cause this big ruckus or do whatever, there's a chance for me to offload Chelsea to somebody who won't cause the club because I love the club and I do whatever. And maybe that's the reason why he's doing it, or maybe there is sinister stuff behind it that we don't know. All I know is that Chelsea now are up for sale. They're going to be under a new owner, and they're pretty much screwed unless somebody comes in at the likes of a Sheik and buys them out, which is the only person that probably could afford them at this stage. If they start getting American owners in, you're going to have
Conor McGregor.
Jesus, yeah. You can get a consortium with Dana White.
Well, he wouldn't, because he's only worth about 300 and something million himself personally, right? Yeah. Okay. So the Fertitta brothers that owned UFC, and they got like 4 billion or whatever. Yeah. So Conor's worth more than what Dan is, I suppose.
Yeah, but
Conor's worth about 6, whatever. But they could have a group of people obviously that could come in and do that. So just one of the offshoots there, right, that I read today, we might leave it then after this, is that we leave it on 2 things, right? First of all, Thomas Tuchel is being mentioned as the next Man United manager, because there's many believe he will not stay at Chelsea.
Right.
Okay, so I'll say that, and then before we go, do you think Chelsea are going to maintain their top 4 position, or do you think they could, considering everything that's going on?
I think they're in savage danger of dropping out of the top 4.
Yeah.
I think they're in the ultimate danger of dropping out of the top 4. Like I was saying, when Spurs were on a run there and Arsenal were on a run, I said both Man United and Chelsea could lose out in the top 4. easily.
Yeah.
And at that stage, they could go on a free fall. I could see him not even missing out in some parts of Europe, especially you know if the other teams below him start playing. Maintain their standard. Like West Ham could maintain the standard again. We don't have to worry about them for the rest of the season. So all fair fucks to them and leave them go off and win every game if they want to and clear spots. You know, Leicester could go on a resurgence. You know, all the Wolves could go on a resurgence the rest of the season. Any one of them could come up. Spurs are there. So to be honest with you, you've pretty much got about 6 teams that can battle for third and fourth.
Yeah. Like
you know?
Arsenal.
And Arsenal are the only ones that look like they're the strongest at the moment. Yeah. I think they'll take third, to be honest with you.
You think?
I think we'll beat them and they'll still go on and take third.
Chelsea winning 2-0 currently against Norwich, so that's no surprise there.
Right.
Arsenal have 2 games in hand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They had a massive amount of games in hand.
And so, yeah, you know what? That would be interesting to see. I don't know if they'll drop out of the top 4, but...
Well, where are they there? So how many points?
So they're on 56
to 47 to 9.
You see, I don't trust United, and I don't trust the rest. So I think they might.
So
they might just make the top 4. What do you reckon Tuchel going to Man United? Do you think that's something that could? I think he'd be a great fit if he went there. I think he would do quite well. Would
he want that job though?
Jesus, well, I don't know. Depending on what happens at Stamford Bridge, isn't it? Depends, I suppose. How long they're going to be in limbo.
Before.
Yeah.
So he's not going to go to PSG.
No. And he's at Dortmund. He's done a good enough job at Dortmund as well. Like I think he's a good manager. I don't think he's on the same level. Now look, Chelsea.
Is the Bayern Munich manager leaving at the end of the season?
I've no idea.
They only do 2-year contracts. They don't have 2 or 3 year contracts.
I've no idea. But Tuchel to United would be an interesting one, I think.
I think with the state of affairs, he could easily walk. He had no ties to Chelsea. He's been in there for a season.
And like Rudiger is gone now, right? His contract's up. They won't be allowed to sign him again.
No.
Even if they wanted to.
They can't.
They have a transfer embargo. They cannot sign anybody. So if Tuchel stays there, you know, some players are definitely going to go during the summer. Even if Tuchel stays, they cannot sign anyone at all.
They're fucked.
So they're snookered for next season.
Yeah.
So if United are looking for someone to step in there with a philosophy, which I do think he has, and somebody that could build for the long term, he might be the man. I don't think Poch is flavour of the month anymore. So it's an interesting one. I suppose we'll have to watch this space.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's so much. There's 2 clubs that are more in trouble. One more so now. Well, you know, United have been in trouble for a long time, but Chelsea now could have a plummet free fall.
I think so.
The likes of which we've never seen in football.
All depends on who steps in, but anything
unless somebody comes in and takes over.
But
other than that, do you know, maybe the reason you could see if Tuchel is going to stay on, maybe he's after ear to the wall kind of thing, where he's after hearing
who's
we've got this person coming in or whatever, like, you know, and then you'd say, oh yeah, well, if I know that there's no one coming in, whatever, I'm staying around. So I wouldn't have money. And they'll be allowed to spend. So
I suppose the one thing that we do know is this: the longer this whole thing drags on around Abramovich, the worse it is for the club.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to last too long. I think Abramovich, I think it'll be all done and dusted before the summers even come in. Whether or not, like, if he said he doesn't want his money back or anything like that, then I don't see an issue with it. If he's have to give it up to the Chelsea trust, then he's billions and billions and billions. You know, he'll have to say, right, it's my own country that's after screwing me over here and costing me this amount of money. But
what choice does he have?
He has no choice. He's better off just cutting his ties and going at this stage.
Well, it's interesting. We'll see how everything goes, I suppose.
I suppose that's it. Anyway, lads, we have Brighton on the weekend, 12:30 kick-off.
Yeah.
Arsenal, I suppose that'd be a quarter day kick-off. Because they've swapped around what it was for the
and you're doing the watch along on Saturday, and I'll be here for the one on Wednesday.
You're going on for the one on Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do the one on Saturday, you'll be after the one on Wednesday. And if leave us know what you think of this kind of setup, because it's much easier, because we have to talk to you much better. I'm changing the studio upstairs in this house. It's the biggest room in the house, and I'm going to put in a large table and put a green screen around the whole lot, and we're going to try and get a few extra people in, and it's a lot easier to do it from my house than to go look for somewhere else. And I've got little internet here, so you'll see a lot more content coming this way over the next few months, especially coming up and definitely coming into next season. There's going to be a lot more stuff happening, and we can definitely get the sketches going. And while this is getting refurbished out the back here, so I can put whatever I want up around outside there as well, which is good. So if we need a spaces to do outdoors and indoors, we got it. It doesn't matter.
Better and better all the time.
Anyway, Liverpool versus Brighton. Liverpool versus Arsenal. Inter are done with. They were a tough team, by the way, to be honest with you. Tougher than what I expected them to be in the Champions League. The draw is next week, next Friday, I think. I think it's Friday week.
Is it?
Tomorrow week? Yeah, I think it's tomorrow week. And we'll find out who we get in that. And yeah, so Brighton and Arsenal, and then we'll deal with the rest after that. And so we'll have to get Nottingham Forest in the cup. I forgot to mention that.
Which is another thing to look forward to.
It's another thing to look forward to. It's another cup game. It's a cup quarter-final.
Yes, I believe so.
Another cup quarter-final. Already got one cup this season. Let's go on. The FA Cup is the second last one we play for, right?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. If it's going to, I don't know, man. It's been so long since we've had a chance to play for.
If you win the league, is it still the FA Cup is after?
Straight after, the week after, or something like that. There's a week or two after. There's 2 weeks between it, or it's before.
Or we won't think about it.
We don't know. I don't know. It's been a few years since we won the FA Cup, so I don't know. I'll let you know anyway. Anyway, lads, from myself, also Kevin, and
me, Kevin, also.
We are the Kitmen. We'll see you again on Saturday at 12:30 and again on Wednesday with the two of us here for the Liverpool Arsenal game and the Liverpool Brighton game first. Alright, good luck. See you.
Get up them steps.
The Kitmen!